Monday afternoon, bringing you the best of sports stories from our Caribbean and, of course, around Nigeria and the entire world. My name is Abiodun Adewale. I'll be keeping it locked down with you this afternoon in the company of the man I called Any Man, Any for himself.
Good afternoon.
Good to see you return to the show.
Yeah, same here. It's looking like a lifetime.
Like a lifetime since we meet together on
the
this show, of course.
Yeah, it's good to be back.
Definitely, it's always good to be back on the show. And the biggest news right now, or perhaps the biggest puzzle that people are trying to solve at the moment in Nigerian sports, is who becomes the next coach of the Super Eagles of Nigeria. A lot of people have kept their fingers crossed to the point that they are no longer even willing to cross the fingers. They just want to get to know who becomes the next coach. But the Nigeria Football Federation have been taking this over. They've been taking this. I do not want to say drag, but then it's taking time and people are running out of patience. And just about last week too, the Minister of Sports Development, Senator John Eno, also said something about the appointment of the new coach, perhaps from last week when he said it in 2 weeks' time, maybe hopefully before the end of this week or by next week, we get to hear something. But that is just one of the major things we will be discussing on the show today. And let's get started properly with the front page of our sports paper this morning, the Punch Sports Extra. And the one that is screaming right there is about the lady in blue-red, who we call the blue-head damsel today. And that is Rasheedat Ajibade, captain of the Super Falcons, who was in action for our club Atletico Feminine yesterday, scoring 1 and assisting 1 in their 5-1 win over Real Betis. What a way to get into the mood for the women's football event of the Olympics. Remember, our goal during the qualifiers took Nigeria to that tournament for the first time since 2008. So, looks like she's fired up. And if you're talking about the performance of Nigerian players during the last weekend, of course, she spearheaded that, with the men also proving their worth. The likes of Cyril Desas getting a brace in Rangers' 2-0 win in their Scottish Cup semi-final. Now they have set up an Old Firm derby against Celtic in the final coming up on May 25. We also have Chidera Ejuke getting the goal for Antwerp in their first win in the Championships playoff in Belgium, just as Fisayo Dele Bashiru also scored for Atayaspor in Turkey, but it ended in a 2-1 defeat for them. So, so many other stories. Just before we were coming, we were talking about Samson Siasia, who is also on the cover of our paper this Monday. And just about weekend, there was an interview that was released.
Explosive one.
And quite lengthy, and he spoke about a lot of things. Different things, including treatment of local coaches as regards their foreign counterparts in Nigeria, how he handled the Olympics team and all of that. Of all things that he said, perhaps the one that puzzled me most was when he said Mikel was a stubborn player. Ironically, coming from a stubborn man as a coach himself. Samson Siasia coming out with all of these things. Interesting times, isn't it?
Yes, interesting times. You know, it's coming at a time where the old football fans, the Football Federation in Nigeria, and everyone is expecting, the announcement of the coach. And it's quite, funny because, in places like, or in other countries, or football competition, club competitions, you would hear rumors, and, you hear strong rumors. You know that there are some people in contention for this. And there are some people that are really close to getting this. But I don't know what's going on. I don't know who they are consulting. I hope maybe they are consulting a certain Pep Guardiola at this time, like they did when they consulted, Jose Mourinho. However, coming back to Samson Siasia and his interview, he said he's a stubborn player. I don't think he said a stubborn individual, a stubborn person. Now, plenty people or many people or different people who have, their ways of getting things done. And you would always, because you can never be like a perfect person for another person. Now, what do I mean? There's a certain Jose Mourinho that will not tell you that Mikel is a stubborn. You understand? So I guess it's the relationship between them. I don't know. I hope that this doesn't, it doesn't soil the relationship between them. But it goes to show the many gists that we don't hear, and then the rumors that we hear about the Super Eagles, about the football team of Nigeria itself.
To think you even mentioned about how you gave monies to some of the players during some campaigns for some major tournaments and all of that. what interests me particularly is that Samson Siasia is nearing the end of his FIFA ban, which will end in August.
Maybe
at this point, he's not in the line to take the Super Eagles.
Yes, of course.
He can't even apply. But then he's nearing the end of his ban. It will be interesting to see what he will be able to do. So, what a way to make your gradual comeback.
Yes,
into football.
But it will also be interesting to see or to hear what Mikel will say. You know, Mikel runs a podcast. And
of course.
Do just maybe 2, 3 minutes or a statement and just, reply. Because I'm sure there might be a reply.
Well, many things we don't know about player-coach relationship. Let's move on the show and still taking stories from our cover, but then gradually easing into the rundown for today on today's show. And let's go straight to Europe, where we had games over the weekend. The Classico went down last night. The English FA Cup semi-finals are completed. And of course, there are matches in the English Premier League. Double game week for many players. And of course, in the Fantasy Premier League, it's all looking gloomy and gloomy, as the case may be. Now, let's talk about the English Premier League, where Nottingham Forest steered controversy yesterday after their 2-0 defeat against Everton at the Goodison Park. There, from their statement I will read, they said, the extremely poor decisions, 3 penalties not given, which we cannot simply accept. We named the PGMO, we warned the PGMO that the VAR is a Luton fan before the game, but they didn't change him. Our patience has been tested multiple times. Nottingham Forest will consider its options. Horrible officiating in their game yesterday, and it raises the question about officiating in the English Premier League.
Yes, so I think we will just have to rewind back to some games before now.
Okay.
You remember the game between Manchester United and
Liverpool?
Yes, Liverpool and Manchester United shared the spoils, but it would or could have resulted in a 3 points, win for Manchester United.
Yeah.
However, that the penalty that they gave awarded to Liverpool at the end of the game,
which they used to level.
I don't know whether it was reviewed well enough. Because certain replays that we have seen shows that there was no contact whatsoever between Aaron Ramsaka and Harvey Elliott. Now, that's not just the first time. You go back to the FA Cup semi-final where there was a certain handball involving Jack Grealish, a free kick from, what's his name now, Palmer, and then, he touched the hand of Jack Grealish. But the movement of his hand suggests that he was trying to block the ball. It could suggest it suggests that, because from my own standpoint, yes, it suggests that. So, there are a lot of controversies, and we don't expect those controversies to come, especially with the introduction of VAR. We expected that it will be easier, perfect. Yes, it will be seamless, and we get some calls. And it's just so funny that every now and then there are rules that we don't even understand. There are rules that this is the rule is bent sometimes or is overlooked. You understand? However, what's his name now? Gary Neville was asking or calling for the resignation of Mark Clattenburg, who works for Nottingham Forest, and said he's questioning the integrity of the referees and the officiating or officials of the game in the Premier League, that it doesn't speak well, and he expects him to to distance himself from that statement.
Being a former referee himself.
Yes, being a former referee himself. But however, you just ask, is it a right decision or not?
But then you begin to also wonder how much of review did... we've seen situations this season where they have come out, the PGMO have come out to apologize for certain embarrassing decisions. So it all started with Arsenal against Newcastle.
Yes.
Then Liverpool against Tottenham Hotspur.
Exactly. Even Tottenham against Manchester United, and then Arsenal against Tottenham, because there was a repeat of the similar handball from Romero. He repeated, and they didn't call it for Manchester United. They called it for a penalty during the Arsenal game. So there are so many, controversies. However, it's just the fact that they had to mention that the VAR official is a Luton fan, and they are suggesting
it brings to question how they even select officials. Well, looks like controversies around the video assistant referee in the English Premier League is like breakfast.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see where it goes from here.
It's going to go around, but with the run into the end of the season, it might just make or mar the season of some certain teams. Let's move on to other games in the English Premier League. While Manchester City were involved in the FA Cup. Liverpool and Arsenal retraced their steps in the English Premier League, got their wins, and moved back to the top of the table. Let's say temporarily, until City are back in action later against Brighton on Wednesday or Thursday. And of course, but now Arsenal and Liverpool can say they are back on track. And the title race is back on, isn't it?
Yeah, the title race has not ended. It's still on. However, the title race is firmly held by a certain Manchester City who are
firmly in control.
Who are wounded and are willing to get back at anybody.
Sure.
They are willing to blast through any opponent at this point, because the loss against Real Madrid really took a toll on them, and you could see it, the effects in the game, the FA Cup game. However, I think Arsenal have more work to do of the three of them, because they'll be playing Chelsea and they will still be playing. Yes,
they're playing Tottenham.
So they have the tougher games. However, I think the noise has actually reduced.
Yeah, of course. Thanks to those results from last week.
And as it stands, they need a miracle. Now, when I say they, I'm referring to Liverpool and Arsenal, because you cannot rule them out entirely. You understand? You might feel that City will not, lose a game, but they might draw a game. It's possible. They might draw a game.
But the interesting thing is that City are in control.
They are in control.
So it's their game to draw, and it's
their trophy to lose.
Their trophy to lose. So as it stands, they are totally in control of the Premier League title race. So let's move away from the Premier League, but still in England, the English FA Cup. The finals, we know who they are going to be. It's a Manchester derby. But then before we arrived at that, it took a lot of prayers. It took a lot of it took a lot of work. A certain team from the red side of Manchester almost crumbled against the championship side Coventry. And what do you call that bravery?
They actually crumbled
from Coventry, coming from 3 goals down, equalizing 3-3, scoring a goal in extra time before losing on penalties.
That's drama at its finest, at its
honestly
peak. So it was like Manchester United and Coventry swapped forms. Although Manchester United form has been, dwindling this season, but it was like they swapped status. Let me use that, because Coventry actually played like title contenders in the Premier League, while Manchester United played like a championship relegation battling team.
Relegation battle would have even fought harder than Man United did. So they just play like a mid-table championship
I still do not understand what is wrong with Manchester United, because they had the game in control. They had total control for like 70 minutes or 75 minutes. But for 15 minutes to go, just one goal from Luton and everything.
From Coventry.
Sorry, thank you. From Coventry, and everything
turned around.
It was all form of, disaster. So many people have been blaming Eric Ten Hag for his decision to remove Garnacho and what's his name? What's his name now? The midfielder, Kobe Mainu. Now, I see, I try to understand the grievance of, the fans.
But should Ten Hag go?
Maybe
at the end of the season.
No, I don't think he should. You know why? Now, some seasons ago, they had a Louis van Gaal who won I think it was the Carabao Cup for Manchester United, with Manchester United. And all of a sudden, things went south. He was gone. They still had some players from that time till now. Jose Mourinho came on. He won the Europa League. I don't know if he won the FA Cup.
I think he won one domestic cup.
Yes, he won one domestic cup. But something happened again. From glory, they came down. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer came. He took them through some finals. In short, I think they finished second in the first season in the league, and they could have, won the league. They pushed Manchester City to the brink. But then, something happened again. It fell. That's 3 coaches. This is the 4th person. I don't want to mention Ralf Rangnick, but this is the 4th person who is in his second season. In his first season, it took them to two finals, if I'm not mistaken. And he won one. Now, this is another season. They finished, in the top 4 last season, and they were able to go to Europe.
But the Champions League was a mess this season.
It was a mess, a total disaster. But you need to bear in mind, his own excuses. He has been talking about this is like the 62nd or 63rd individual injuries that they will have this season.
This season. And he has questioned why those players are even getting injured.
Exactly. So they have so many things to answer. They have so many questions to answer. Now, you know, everybody were coming for Eric Ten Hag, and I was
maybe
saying
a lot of
yesterday,
people have to go
and I was
at
saying,
Man United.
Hold on, and I was saying yesterday that Eric Ten Hag was not on the pitch. Yes, he made the substitution, he made the lineup, and it is fine if he would remove Alejandro Garnacho and Kobe Mainoo when they are 3 goals up against Coventry.
Sure.
They are not playing against Manchester City. They are not playing against Arsenal. You understand? They are playing against Coventry. It is fine to rest your players. These are the guys that perform. If you look at it, these are the guys that perform better. If you mention the top 3 performers,
so keep them fresh for the next game.
You understand? To keep them fresh for the next game. So I see no reason why people say, oh, this, that. The replacements are very experienced players. You understand? So the question should not be for Eric Ten Hag. It should be for those players.
And many other people.
Exactly.
At the back room.
Exactly. At the back room. So I think with the new, system coming on board, the new CEO, the new technical director, and the guy coming from Newcastle, I think Dan Ashton, it will be a good time to give him one more try under a sane environment. You understand? So I think they should just give him one more season. It's too early.
Maybe it's too early, but then let's just see. They are in one final. Maybe that will be enough solace for them at the end of the season. I'm sure
Liverpool and Arsenal fans will wish that they are in the final.
Oh well. Let's go straight to Manchester City and Chelsea. What a painful way to lose a semi-final. They came up against one of the best sides in the land. No one gave them a chance, but they fought until almost the end of the game. Chelsea will not be playing in the final. It's Man City. Yeah,
it was theirs to lose because they had all the chances. And you know the saying in football, when you don't take your chances, you're going to regret it. Sure. You understand? And they got punished because I could see that, or I saw that their striker, Jackson, had like 4 clear chances. If he did not convert the 4 chances, he should at least convert 2 or 3 chances.
At least 2.
So I don't know like what happened to Chelsea. I don't know why they did not convert those chances, but they eventually, ruled those chances, and that's why they are not in the finals.
All right, away from England, let's go straight to Spain, where we had the El Clasico. Madrid, Real Madrid, the Galacticos are nearing another Spanish La Liga title. What a way to win the El Clasico. Jude Bellingham, one of the players that has been played and tired, and I even said he's not at the level he was at the start of the season. I saw the jubilation after that 3rd goal, and you could feel that this guy was meant to play for Real Madrid.
Talk about Jude Bellingham. That is meant for the stars. And the way he handles pressure is amazing for his age.
22-year, 23-year-old.
Yeah, and the way he handles pressure. If you watch back at the interview after the Manchester City Champions League game, and the way he handled it, the way he was speaking, he amazed Rio Ferdinand.
Top level.
You understand? Top level. He's a top level player. However, there were some maybe 1 or 2 controversies in the game yesterday against Barcelona. The goal line technology that was not in use. Exactly.
Was not in use.
And we have not seen a better angle. It looked like the ball
had crossed the ball entirely. To me, it looked like it has crossed entirely.
But because the white pole, the pole is white, the line is white, and the ball is white, so you can't conclude entirely. So that's why I think they should do better by getting, because you don't want to make such mistakes in big games like this.
And that was a big game.
It was a big game.
Imagine if there was just 1 point between both teams coming into that game. It could have meant a lot of things.
But Madrid are on for their 36th, I think, trophy.
Yeah. Without wasting much time in Europe, let's talk about the team on form, the special team in Europe at the moment, Bayer Leverkusen. Yesterday, we thought it was all over after 44 matches, that Borussia Dortmund had already put an end to their unbeaten run. But they said no, and they came up with an equalizer. Out of nowhere, 90 plus 7 minutes, there was an equalizer, and 1-1. It's 45 games unbeaten run for Bayer Leverkusen. They already have the Bundesliga title.
Yes.
They did it with 5 games to spare. Now there are 3 more matches to go, and they just want to see it through, and they are already in the semi-final of the Europa League.
And in the final of the
DFB Pokal as well. So a treble is still very, very much loading. So from Europe, let's come back to Nigeria, where we had actions in the Nigeria Premier Football League as well. And the title race, let's say the running is also eating up in Nigeria as well, with 7 rounds of matches to go. But unfortunately, after the next round of games, the league will be taking a break for Rivers United to complete its 6 outstanding matches. So we won't be talking about running in the Nigeria Premier Football League until after Rivers United have completed their 6 outstanding matches. But as it is still Enugu Rangers who are still on top of the Nigeria Premier Football League table. They lost 2-0 against Rivers United in Port Harcourt yesterday, but that still preserved a 2-point lead for them ahead of Eyimba, who played a 1-1 draw against Sunshine Stars in Akure yesterday. So Eyimba only reduced the gap to 2 points, and interestingly, the two of them will be playing home matches next weekend in the MPFL. So in other matches that we have, Lobby Stars are already top. They were top for a while, but yesterday again wasn't another good day for them. They were held to a draw by Bendel Insurance. Bendel Insurance even missed a penalty in that game, but it ended goalless. While Plateau United also beat 1-1-0 yesterday for the first time in a while, and that is good enough for them to be in 4th position. Remo Stars, with a game in hand against Rivers United, are 5th, and they are just 4 points adrift of the top team. So that means if they get something good from the outstanding game, they could be as good as the 2nd place team on the table. So we won't talk about the running in the Nigeria Premier League until after the completion of outstanding matches. But in the relegation zone, it's looking all gloomy for Gombe United, Atlant, Aqua United, who won the league in 2021, and Bayelsa United. For Sunshine Stars, Sporting Lagos, Rivers United, and Doma United, maybe they still have some prayers to say to see how they will be able to escape relegation in the Nigeria Premier Football League as well. But that is just that about that. Interesting times, and of course, let's talk about Nigerian athletes, and of course, from that, let's talk about the appointment of a new coach for the Super Eagles of Nigeria. It's been a while. I mean, the application was thrown open in such a way that even me, that has an FCAN F license, could have even thrown in my way to apply for the job. So if it was done that way, we expected that things would be done. But then it's all looking like things are happening in the glass house, and people are keeping their cards close to their chest, and they are just waiting. They're just holding on to that important announcement for Nigerians. How long do we have to wait?
Well, I can't say because I don't work in glass house. However, I feel that they need to put Nigerians out of, the misery. Because
and aside that too, we have World Cup qualifiers coming up in less than 2 months.
Exactly. So I feel that if they don't make the announcement now, we'll still see Finidi George, right? Old, that position as an interim coach. But I think the earlier the better we sort the coaching issue, it is good. It's just going to be good for the team.
And funny thing, the players have also raised their voices. They have also raised their concerns. The coach needs to begin work. But so we don't know if the die is cast yet, but these are the names. Finidi George, Emmanuel Amunike. Those are the 2 names that are ringing. But while those names are ringing, there is also some news elsewhere that a foreign coach might even come from nowhere to take the job from these guys. Did I even say nowhere? The last coach was a foreign coach. So it might just be the same old story.
I don't know why we keep, doing this, going around the cycle. Because every opportunity to change a coach is an opportunity to make a good decision. You understand? So if they need to bring a foreign coach, make the good decision. Make the good choice. Bring a top-class coach. If you are going to settle for the home-based coach, by all means do it, but don't drag it for too long, so that these guys can, that they can get used to the coach, the playing style, and then we'll know where we go from here. You understand? We don't want to miss out in the big tournaments. We don't want to do that again.
because it happened to us in 2022, and it was as a result of carelessness, what I call changing the goalpost in the middle of the match, that cost us the 2022 World Cup slot. The coach that left there, in general, had a reputation of qualifying for tournaments with game to see.
And he appeared balanced with the team.
Very balanced. We had just 2 games to go against Ghana. 1 game in Ghana and the other one in Nigeria. And of course, we capitulated right in our own backyard.
Exactly.
And we ended up regretting it. Our players we've been able to regroup the boys. We saw them at the AFCON. Yeah, we saw them at the AFCON. Now we are facing South Africa, who are now looking like the biggest rivals of the Super Eagles on the African continent, whereas they are not.
They even rival the Super Falcons
Super
for
Falcons.
the tickets to the Olympics, so
But
it's going to be a tough one.
But then we all know they are nowhere near the Super Eagles in the right context
yes,
of things. But then bragging rights, it's all about bragging rights in football.
Exactly. And they have one or two mistakes will just, look at Manchester United and Coventry.
Of course. I think the earlier the better eventually.
I agree.
And let's just hope, like the Minister of Sports Development, Senator John Eno, has said, maybe in 2 weeks' time from his last week, then let's see how it ends. So from the home front now, let's just take a trip now across to Europe again, and let's end things there. The biggest European competitions, the big year, the Champions League, the Europa League, and of course, the tournament that most people don't even reckon with, the conference. Let's begin with the biggest of the biggest. Real Madrid. Who knows how to eliminate Real Madrid?
Manchester City.
But how come they failed this time around? What went wrong in that game? Well, they had a classic game at the Bernabeu, 3-3, only for them to lose on penalties at home.
I think allowing Madrid to score first at the Etihad Stadium was the biggest mistake for them. Because they didn't expect Madrid to pack the bus. They did not expect. And they were pained. It was very obvious because if you look at the interviews after the post-match interview, I think it was Rodri, and he was saying, so they were asking him about the two big teams that played, and he was saying he only saw one team. He said, and then he said the other team defended where they knew how to suffer. Now, more than playing tiki-taka, more than dominating, you need to score. And you need to suffer. I think that's a new thing now. You need to suffer.
And to think Real Madrid really suffered in the real sense of it, this season, they've had to play different players as centre-back. And that game was no exception.
And now there's something that is amazing. How is Carlo Ancelotti getting these big stars to pack the bus? Or to do what is expected? Because everyone defended with everything. Even Vinicius had to be pulled out because he had a strain. You understand? They gave everything. No, you need to give kudos to Carlo Ancelotti. However, we don't know. Yeah, we can't say yet if they will win the Champions League.
Well, we really cannot say, but then because they will be facing Bayern Munich,
who are not informed.
A glory-chasing team, so to say, because on the domestic scene, they are nothing to write about, and they look like they seem to be in chaos with their setup and every other thing. But how well they come up against Real Madrid remains to be seen.
Yes, so I think that if they get the first leg right, they might eventually pull through. They have what it takes actually, because if you look at it on paper, they have the squad. They just need that synergy. Like how they started the season, they should bring back that form, and they will be able to pull a surprise against Real Madrid.
Kylian Mbappe will be joining Madrid next season. But he's having his last dance.
Do you have an evidence?
Well, I do not have an evidence, but,
but everything we know obviously.
So he's having his kind of last dance with PSG. Winning the Champions League,
so personally, okay. Now this is a personal opinion. Personally, I want PSG to win the Champions League because of Kylian Mbappe. Yes, he has done a lot. Coming from Monaco. From that age to PSG, and he has stayed at that top level. I think he deserves to win.
So he takes that pedigree to the Santiago Bernabeu.
Exactly, because it's needed. And I think they already started counting scores. The goals they have scored against
them.
Barcelona.
Against Barcelona, already.
Well, they were almost out of that game, but then they were lucky to have won.
Well, in the Europa League, we'll see Roma up against Bayer Leverkusen, the team that is looking to go unbeaten in all competitions this season, and of course, still win a treble, while Marseille and Atalanta will face off in the second semi-final. In the Conference League, the only English team on the continent, Aston Villa, who are also chasing a Champions League ticket at the moment in the Premier League, will be facing Olympiacos just last. Club Brugge, who has our own Rafael Onyedika, will be coming up against Fiorentina. If you call that one the last strike on the show this morning, this afternoon, you are definitely right. Anything, parting shots as we leave.
Well, do what is right and enjoy yourself. Don't let football kill you, especially Manchester United fans.
Honestly, words of advice coming from anything there to Manchester United fan. Of course, every football a lover out there, and that is why one of my colleagues from Old Time will say it pays to be a fan and not a fanatic, and that's the word I'll be leaving you with. On behalf of everyone who have been part of the production this afternoon, I want to say a very big thank you for staying tuned as well. And we will return same time next Monday for another edition of the show. My name is Abiodun Adewale. You can call me iFlyer. It's bye for now.